Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be taking a look at around the NFL staff's game picks for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wildcard playoff matchup versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Before we do dive into that, though, and kind of talk about really how I feel, it's some interesting picks. I'll just say that. I'm just going to say that. I got to mention this. Go check out Foco. It is in the description. It is in the pinned comment. You use my code. You click on the link. You get 10% off. A lot of great products here, but you don't get 10% off on pre-order items, just what they have in stock. So go check them out. Absolutely great stuff there. They are a new partner to the channel, and it would be a great way to support the channel here as well, and me as a content creator. But back to the NFL games picks. Folks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have themselves a pretty tough matchup versus the Philadelphia Eagles, and if you take a look, there's a lot of like unanimous picks, right? Like Bills versus Steelers, everybody's picking the Bills. Chiefs versus Dolphins, everybody's picking the Chiefs, which is pretty surprising in my opinion. I would kind of disagree with that. I think the Chiefs certainly have a chance, especially Tyreek Hill revenge game. Come on now. You have the majority picking Cleveland Browns over Texans. I wouldn't say that, but I mean, hey, you know, whatever, to each their own. You also have Cowboys over Packers unanimously. You have actually kind of a back and forth with Rams and Lions. Here's the big one. Monday, January 15th at 8:15 p.m., Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Philadelphia Eagles, folks. It is at Raymond James Stadium, home game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do the around the NFL staff think is going to happen? One expert picked the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Just so I can zoom in a little bit so you guys can see the score. I will say, hey, credit to around the NFL staff. They have it being a competitive game. I mean, every single score you see here is a one-score game between the Eagles and the Bucs. So they think it is going to be a competitive game. Shout out to Allie, who picked the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If I can find her, I want to see if I can find her. It is Allie Bonpuri. So shout out to Allie, absolute goat for picking the Bucs here. That's great. You love to see that. But this paragraph just talks about how essentially Tampa Bay won 5 of its last 6 games. The Bucs were defeated by the Saints a couple of weeks ago. They didn't score a touchdown against the Panthers. Things that a lot of people have already been saying, that the Buccaneers essentially limped into the playoffs, and it hasn't been a good thing. You talk about Baker Mayfield's injury. Is that going to be a big concern? The Eagles have injury concerns of their own. Very happy that they were able to point that out. But I feel like it doesn't look like they're kind of glossing over what has been. This has the feel of a consolation game. The Eagles looked like contenders in November. They're stumbling into the postseason, yet there's still so much to like, at least on paper, which is why I continue to pick them. I feel like we are kind of, could be the right draw for Nick Sirianni's collapsing crew. That could very well be the case, but I feel like we're overlooking the two things here. One, Tampa Bay has won 5 of its last 6 games, one of which was against the Jaguars, who were 1 game away from making the playoffs. I know that they had a pretty epic collapse themselves, much like the Philadelphia Eagles in the second half of the season, which is another thing I feel like they've glossed over here in this paragraph. But also the Green Bay Packers, who made the playoffs as a wild card team. They beat 2 playoff caliber teams, in my opinion. I don't really care what anybody says. That's just kind of how I see it. You can disagree, and that's completely fine. That's just the way I see it. But it's also important to note that the Eagles have lost a good chunk of games. I believe they've lost 5 out of their last 6 here to end off the year. Also, they went 10-1. They finished 11-6 on the year. So yeah, they lost 5 out of their last 6. Meanwhile, the Bucs won 5 out of their last 6. Who would you give momentum to in that favor? Now, some people may argue, and to be honest, I mean, it's a mindset that has very rarely failed in the times that I've seen it, is this must mean the Eagles are due for a win and the Bucs are due for a loss. Winning 5 out of the last 6 and losing 5 out of the last 6. But momentum matters, man. Team mentality matters. If the Eagles are frustrated with how things went throughout the second half of the season, that could get into their heads. The Bucs probably feeling pretty good. Yes, you had a pretty ugly loss against the Saints. Yes, you did not have a convincing win against the Carolina Panthers, but you still won 5 out of your last 6 games. I don't really care how you won. you won and you got yourselves into the playoffs. That's what matters. You won the division, you got yourself in. That's a confidence booster, man. That's a sigh of relief. That's playing with house money like you got nothing to lose. And yeah, the Bucs have nothing to lose because a lot of people have them down and out, even against an Eagles team that has been struggling throughout the second half of the year. So the Bucs probably going to feel pretty motivated going into this game, probably going to be playing pretty loose, whereas the Eagles might have, well, not even might, they do have a lot more pressure on them, and that could certainly matter. We could see a big surprise on the national scale, and it might not even be that surprising whenever you look at certain factors, whenever you look at certain things like momentum, like the pressure on both teams, and like some of the other things like how their second half of the season's been going. The Bucs have won a lot, the Eagles have not, and that matters. Also, kind of glossing over the Eagles' injury concerns. You talk about Baker Mayfield being banged up. Jalen Hurts is banged up also. A.J. Brown is banged up. And I'm not tearing this, I'm not trying to tear this paragraph apart. It's obviously describing why somebody picked the Eagles, but it is also important to note, which is why I guess I am making this video, some of the other things that are going on regarding this game. So yeah, just kind of wanted to give my thoughts and opinions about that. Obviously, 4 out of the 5 experts here on Around the NFL have picked the Philadelphia Eagles. It's all a close competitive game, if that's the case. I think the Bucs would go into the offseason heads held high, if that's the case. If you're being competitive, if you win, in the case of Allie, shout out Allie, Bonpuri, and either way, if it is a close game, I think the Bucs, I think you can be satisfied with how the season has gone. All the things considered contextually, folks, come on now. And if the Bucs win, you got to feel great. So that's kind of my thoughts and opinions on it. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on it also, about the experts' picks and what you guys think. But let me know. Again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you guys all enjoyed. As always, guys, I will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.